Muslim-owned websites and articles often propagate the notion that the Arab was nothing before Islam, as it was only due to the arrival of Islam and Muhammad's prophethood it gave them status and respectability. This video will look at some of these claims, but it is covered in much more detail in the book Islam, the Honest Truth, as well as some aspects have already been covered in previous videos. There were many well-known Arab personalities and influential figures before Islam. As there are too many to mention, a separate video will be created to include more personalities, specifically important pre-Islamic Arab women. However, for the purposes of this video, one such example of an important pre-Islamic Arab is Philip I, commonly known as Philip the Arab. He was a Roman emperor from 244 to 249 AD. He was born in Arantis, Arabia, in a city situated in modern-day Syria, an Arab district which at the time was part of the Roman province of Arabia. His birth city was later renamed Philippopolis. As an ethnic Arab, he was the first of his race to become a Roman emperor, hence his cognomen. Another groundbreaking account of his life is that, according to early historian Eusebius in his ecclesiastical history, held that Philip was a Christian. The significance of this is it would have made him the first Christian Roman emperor in history, although often this title is given to Constantine I, who reigned between 306 to 337 AD. Unfortunately, due to the emphasis of Arabs and their importance post-Islam in an attempt to elevate Islam, many Arabs, no less non-Arabs, are oblivious to these facts about this important pre-Islamic Arab personality. Although history regards them as villainous, the Herods who aligned themselves with Rome for the reason it was a symbiotic, mutually beneficial relationship for both parties. For the Herods, it continued their power, and for the Romans, they helped suppress any dissent, defend its frontier, and kept Judea open as a link to the wealth of Syria and Egypt. Though touted as Jews, the Herods were originally Arabs who converted to Judaism. The man who founded the dynasty, Antipater, was an Arab Idumean. His son, Herod the Great, also known as Herod I, who appears in the Gospel of Matthew for the infamous event known as the Massacre of the Innocents, in relation to the Jesus story, was the same man that was responsible for building the Jewish Temple of Solomon at a grander and bigger scale. The Herodian dynasty came to an end with Agrippa II. When the word Arab is mentioned, it often conjures up a view of Muslims post-Islam and perhaps of pre-Islamic pagans to some. However, although idolatry was prevalent in Arabia, in Mecca and surrounding areas among Muhammad's tribe and nearby geographical areas, there were a great many number of Arabs who were followers of two of the other major monotheistic religions, namely Judaism and Christianity, before Islam arrived on the scene. Arab Jews and Christians dominated the peninsula, and their influence had had a considerable effect on the development of Islam. Some notable personalities were Zu Nawas, a Jewish king of Himyar who reigned between 522 to 530 AD, and Bahira, a Christian monk who influenced Muhammad. Both these figures are mentioned in Ibn Ishaq's biography of Muhammad. Also, the Quran pays special attention to Judaism and Christianity. There are themes in both their religious scriptures found in the Quran, from the stories of the prophets to Jesus' Immaculate Conception. There were major Christian populations in Najran in southwestern Saudi Arabia, and the Ghassanids in northwestern Saudi Arabia. There were major Jewish populations in Yemen, and a number of Jewish tribes all over the region, including in the regions north of Mecca, in Yathrib, later called Medina. These Jewish tribes were later massacred or expelled. They had rejected Muhammad and Islam and saw the utter falsity of his teachings and actions. In essence, Arab polytheism masqueraded as monotheism with elements of their own religion and Christianity mixed in. No less than an ethnic cleansing and genocide was committed by Muhammad. He issues a chilling message in Sahih Muslim 1767 when he said, quote, "I will expel the Jews and Christians from the Arabian Peninsula and will not leave any but Muslim." End quote. True to his words, over 1400 years later, as they once did, no such Jewish or Christian communities exist in the country of Saudi Arabia. To date, in the year 2024, there are no official synagogues or churches in the country either, whereas mosques can be found in non-Muslim countries wherever Muslim communities are established. To illustrate the pervasiveness of pre-Islamic Jewish and Christian societies in the Arabian Peninsula, in the book called History of the Later Roman Empire, written by Cambridge professor of history John Bagnall Berry, he mentions how Greek historian and scholar Procopius wrote about the armies of the Christian kingdom of Aksum in Ethiopia invading Yemen at the request of the Byzantine Emperor Justin I to take control of the Jewish kingdom in Himyar, then under the leadership of Yusuf Zunawas. There are numerous other research, such as that by Dr. Christian Robin, and in Arabs and Empires Before Islam, Greg Fisher mentions how the Arabs were not monolithic. Some were Christians and others Jews, some allied with Persia, whilst others with Rome. So in conclusion, there were many notable Arabs during pre-Islamic times. Some were emperors, others were rulers, and members of prominent nobilities. The Christians and Jews of the Arabian Peninsula were active and influential in the region. The Arabs were a major power of influence geographically. It is not true, as espoused by Islamic apologetics, that Arabs were insignificant before Islam. An often repeated mantra within Islamic apologetics is how Islam allegedly liberated women when compared to pre-Islamic Arab women. The next video will analyze these false claims.